Our VOA correspondent Heather Murdock reports live via Skype from Ukraine. Heather, bring us up to speed on the latest from where you are.
This morning around 8 o'clock, Ukraine lifted the curfew that has been imposed on the city of Kyiv for the past day and a half or so. And people came out into the streets, not everybody, but people who had immediate needs, such as uh, some groceries were open. And most of the people we saw in the streets were carrying bags, heading towards subways, trains, buses. Not everyone, but many people that we saw in the streets really were just trying to get out of the city in expectation that the violence we saw at the beginning of the weekend and at the end of last week is going to resume when these peace talks are over. Obviously, we do not know that for a fact here. The outcome is left to be seen, but there is a lot of fear and a lot of expectations that tonight will be another night of violence.
Heather, do we know of any news coming out of the ongoing Ukraine-Russia negotiations?
No, the last we heard was that they did go forward, which is a step in and of itself, the fact that they even are happening. But both sides are pretty far apart. They've been negotiating for such a long time before last week when it came to this, where the entire country was attacked one early morning, followed by a ground invasion. Very suddenly, it felt anyway, from over here. After all of these negotiations being unsuccessful, there's not a lot of hope here in Kyiv that these negotiations today are going to make a difference. Yet, at the same time, maybe just a little bit better would be a big deal here because, the worst case scenario here is wide-scale violence. So even just a little less than that would be better than what we're afraid of right now.
President Zelensky is requesting the NATO to give access to, be granted immediate membership to NATO. Has NATO responded to this request so far?
So far, I'm actually not aware of whether NATO has responded. It's not something that has filtered down to the everyday person here to know what NATO's thinking. I know that some people here have said that in terms of the military situation, there's a lot of very patriotic people here who think that the Ukrainian military is fighting very hard and very strong, and they're hoping that the military here alone can repel Russia. In some ways, hoping against hope, because Russia is, as you know, a huge, strong superpower that would probably need the help of NATO or other foreign powers to really fight against Russia in the long term.
As you said, things happened so quickly. What is it like, Heather, to be in Kyiv right now?
It's kind of spooky here right now, actually, because after a day of lockdown, today was quiet and it's seemingly peaceful. It was almost hard to believe that just 2 days ago, on the day before yesterday, it was one of the most violent days we've seen, with bombings throughout the day, fights on the street, gunfire on the street, armed men, as well as regular soldiers, some kind of weaponry coming, we think, from the air, but we don't really know. And a building that had been hit early in the morning, still on fire by midday. So with all of this violence and tension in Kyiv just 2 days ago, suddenly it's quiet and nothing is happening. And we are all awaiting for perhaps, the next round of violence to happen. So, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. It's pretty spooky here right now.